At first, no one believed Emily's story. Not her friends, not the neighbors, not even her own family. And honestly, it was hard to blame them. What she described sounded impossible. On the morning of May 27th, 2019, Emily was getting ready for her internship. It started like any normal day: shower, breakfast, a little nervous energy about her first day at a new job. But Emily wasn't the type to back down from a challenge. Her parents had encouraged her, told her she'd do great. She got dressed in a neat professional outfit, did her makeup, and took a final look in the mirror. Everything was perfect. Time to go. Living on the 6th floor, she called the elevator. It arrived quickly. She stepped inside and pressed 1. She glanced down at her phone to check the time. She had plenty of it. The elevator stopped, but the doors didn't open. Seriously, she muttered, pressing the button again. Nothing. She hit the call button for assistance. No response. Then she checked her phone. No signal. After a couple of minutes, the doors finally slid open. But instead of her apartment building's lobby, there was a dark, dusty corridor. Rusted, abandoned, wrong. Emily stepped out slowly, her heart beginning to race. She turned on her phone's flashlight and aimed it forward. The beam barely reached more than a few meters, revealing cracked walls and a thick layer of dust. She took another step, hoping to find a window, a stairwell, anything that made sense. But nothing did. Panic crept in. She turned around, suddenly desperate to get back into the elevator. But it was gone. In its place, just a solid wall. Emily froze, her breath catching in her throat. The air was stale, heavy with dust. She tried to steady herself, but the smell made her cough. She instantly regretted it. What if something heard her? She held her breath and listened. Somewhere in the distance, footsteps, heavy, slow, coming closer. Emily spotted 4 apartment doors along the corridor and rushed toward them. The first was locked, the second too. The third one opened. She slipped inside without hesitation. The footsteps were louder now, echoing through the walls. Whatever was out there was getting closer. Inside the apartment was pitch black. The windows were boarded up completely. No light came through. She couldn't even tell if it was day or night outside. Then, a loud crash from the hallway, followed by screams. Something had broken into one of the other apartments. Emily's stomach dropped. This place wasn't safe either. She looked around desperately, searching for somewhere to hide. There was a closet full of clothes in the hallway. She considered squeezing in there, but changed her mind. Under the bed. Too obvious. Another crash echoed through the building. Another door smashed open. She didn't have time anymore. Emily squeezed herself into a narrow gap between a wardrobe and the wall. Her slim frame barely fit. Curtains hung nearby, adding a bit more cover. She held her breath. Seconds felt like hours. Then, something entered the apartment. It was large, heavy. It didn't growl like an animal, but its breathing was rough, uneven, and the smell, burnt, like singed hair. The thing moved through the room slowly, methodically. It checked everything. Then it left. Moments later, another door somewhere down the hall was violently torn open. That was her chance. Emily bolted out of the apartment, praying the thing was still distracted. She kicked off her shoes and ran barefoot down the corridor, trying to stay as quiet as possible. She turned her flashlight back on. Without it, she'd be blind. Then she saw it. A stairwell. She listened. Silence. She hurried down. Another identical floor. No time to think. She turned in the direction where the elevator should have been. And there it was, doors open, waiting. A roar echoed from the stairwell behind her. Deep, furious, inhuman. She slammed the button for one. The doors closed. The elevator moved. When it opened again, she was back in her building's lobby. Everything looked normal, except her. Her clothes were dirty, her feet bare, her shoes clutched in one hand. There was a scratch on her arm. Her phone buzzed violently. Missed calls, messages. She'd been gone for 2 hours. She never made it to work that day. When she got home, her family was furious. Not only had she missed her first day, but she disappeared for 2 hours without a word. The argument ended when they checked the building's security cameras. That's when things got worse. Emily entered the elevator. 1 minute later, it arrived at the ground floor. Empty. No one had called it. And yet, 2 hours later, Emily stepped out of that same elevator, without ever appearing on any other floor. After that, she refused to use elevators again. But the most disturbing part came weeks later. Back in that place, she had dropped her bag. A small mirror had fallen out. She didn't have time to pick it up. But one evening, when she returned home, it was sitting on her bedside table, covered in dirt and rust. That's when she realized whatever she had encountered wasn't finished with her yet.